Right, welcome everyone to the latest installation of Brit Week 2021 here in Paraguay, and the one I've been most looking forward to. Music is without doubt one of the UK's finest exports, and Keane are without doubt one of our finest bands. So I'm delighted to have Tom Chaplin and Richard Hughes on the line. Welcome, Tom and Richard. How are you both doing? Hope you're surviving quarantine in the UK.
Yeah, we're just about surviving. Yeah, it's been tough. Particularly the third lockdown has been a bit of a killer because it's been right in the middle of winter. Everyone's just tired of the whole thing now. But I think we're all hoping that the vaccinations and springtime and all that brings will be the key to freedom.
Yeah. I'll keep my fingers crossed, and I won't bang on about the glorious weather here in Ascension, so I will not mention how beautiful it is here.
That would be a bad thing to do.
That would be. But it's great. I think we are coming out the worst of it. So fingers crossed for the spring and summer. Before I start, I just wanted to give a personal thanks from me for Hopes and Fears. It's one of those albums, it takes me back in time, and I love it when music does that. It happens with me for definitely maybe urban hymns, and Hopes and Fears is another one where I just go back in time for good and bad, and I just relive that period. I was also at your performances in Glastonbury in 2004 and 5. And so for me, having this interview is really great as a fan to be able to speak to you two, but also to give you that thanks. But anyway, I just needed to get that off my chest before I ask my first question. And it's one you've probably had a few times, but I think it'd be great for fans here in Paraguay that maybe don't know you that well. You have lots that do, but for the ones that don't, can you tell us a little bit about how and when the band got together?
Wow. Well, it's a long time ago. We basically went to school together, the three of us. Though we added Jesse a bit later, but Tim, Tom, and I went to school together. So we've been friends since we were. I mean, I don't know. I found a photo that I took of Tim and Tom where you must have been 9 maybe, and Tim would have been 12 or something like that, maybe even a little bit younger. So we've been friends for basically as long as really makes any sense in our brains, I think.
And when did music become a part of your lives? From that same age, or did it come slightly later?
Well, it's very hard to know, because when you're a kid, you just love music, don't you? And it's such an exciting it's a sort of exciting idea, really, more than anything else. Is this magical sound can come from a band or an artist and kind of just inspire you, and I think so we were just like all the other kids, really. Fell in love with music, but I think we as we got into our teens, we just began to think, what about making it and writing songs about kind of. I think we read the stories of the Beatles, particularly of bands like U2 at the time, and we just thought that would be a great life and a great way of kind of expressing ourselves. And so we, in a way, I mean, it was not a very sensible thing to do if you want to kind of, have a career and have a normal life. But we had this mad dream, we would try and get a record deal and try and make albums and travel the world, and we were one of a very kind of select tiny few that make it through and actually were able to live that dream.
Yeah, it's amazing, and as you say, it's a brave decision. It must have been a big decision, but it obviously paid off, which is fantastic. And coming to your point about traveling the world, when you start as a band and you get it, how does it work? You get a list of countries. Does the tour manager come and say, we're going here? Or do you say, I want to go here? You can probably see where this is leading, but I'm just interested in, when you look at the world map, is it you that's sort of guiding it, or does it happen from the sort of production side?
I think it happens from the fans, because you go to places where you think you can play a concert, and that requires people to want to buy tickets. So effectively, I think whoever. Like for us, I guess back in 2004, the record label was a much more sort of significant part of what you do, I guess, than maybe these days. But I guess they know when you're on the radio here or you're, you know, got a #1 there, and you sort of look at the diary and look at the map and and hope your manager can make sense of the two things and get you to as many of those places as possible. I don't think we ever dreamt that we would travel so far and wide.
And in your travels, when you first saw Paraguay appear, what did you think? Did you have any kind of expectations of what Paraguay would be as a destination to play music in, or as a country?
No.
I didn't know at all. No, I mean, we knew that we'd been to, initially we went to the States and Europe and Japan, and then it just started to get a bit more interesting. And I mean, those are great places to go to, but you know, then you start to go to Mexico, you know, or into South America and into, you know, Asia, in Southeast Asia. And yeah, it was pretty amazing to suddenly think that we could even go there. I mean, to be honest, at the start, we would happily go wherever we could and just break even, you know, as long as we didn't like lose a load of money, we were up for just going to these places just to experience it. And so, yeah, it was pretty wild to suddenly be able to go to South America.
And it's no surprise hearing that you didn't have huge, you know, expectations of Paraguay, because you know, it's something that I chat to Paraguayans about all the time. It's not a country, certainly in the UK, that people have much of a feel for. But what struck me since being here is how warm the people are. When you tour, it's obviously you're jumping from country to country. Are you able to get a feel for places you've been to? Because I say that because the Paraguayans really got a feel for you and your music, and the impact you've had here is incredible. Lots of bands have played here, but more than any other band, I hear your name branded about as, you know, brilliant performances. So, I mean, do you feel that connection from the other side? And I take it must be quite difficult because you're, you know, hopping from spot to spot.
Can be difficult, can't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Tom's
when we came to Asuncion, we were. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I'm at the mercy of some very bad internet. But yes, first time we came to Asuncion, I think we didn't know what to expect. I remember people being very, like in the hotel, the staff and they were incredibly welcome and all seemed very excited. And I was thinking, are they excited because we're here? I wasn't quite sure. But obviously as time went on, and then we played the first show. And I remember, you know, the promoter said, "Oh, don't worry that you haven't sold that many tickets. Everyone just comes on the night." So we were like, "Oh, okay." We were a bit unsure though, because we'd only sold about 900 tickets to this huge 14,000 capacity venue. And then, but he was right. Everyone turned up on the night, and it was just this amazing energy that night. And we all of us said, you know, we will never forget that show, and we must make a point to come back to Paraguay again. So yeah, obviously we came back 2019, wasn't it? And did the same venue, but it was an even better show actually. I felt like it topped it. There's even more sort of excitement. But in terms of, I think the second time around we did get a chance to get out and about in the city, didn't we? In fact, your predecessor was able to take us out to lunch and then also show us around, I think, San Geronimo. Would that be right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Well, we had a lovely time.
Fantastic. Well, I was really gutted that I wasn't ambassador with them. It's one of those things. I knew I'd got the job, and I was looking at it, and I was like, "Oh God, that's a real shame." But I'm so pleased. You know, you felt something here as well, because as I said, the fans responded to the first concert. I think 2012, second in 2019. They still get talked about here, and it's incredible. And then obviously you chose the Live in Asuncion album to release. Was that based on what you were saying about the sort of magic you felt?
I think we were pretty confident it was going to be a good show. So, you know, and you do feed off the crowd, and the crowds, not just in Paraguay, but all around South America, you know, you're going to have a great tour from start to finish from the perspective of the way the crowds are going to engage. I think it's partly because, you know, that you really only get to go once per album cycle, maybe. So It's not like playing in London where you know there's going to be a few. This is like your one chance, and so for us, it's our one chance to bring those songs to that audience. And you can hear this. We all wear monitors in our ears, but you can hear the crowd above that, and there are, you know, Tom always just whips them up into a frenzy and gets the singing along, you know, to really get going, and you know it's going to be loud. So yeah, I think we knew that would come across well if we managed to record it. And we made a point of bringing John Stone, our sort of videographer, along. It was the only tour I think we actually took anyone on. We didn't take anyone on the UK tour. We just brought him to South America because we really wanted to document that experience. And so yeah, fortunately he got loads of great footage, and you know, the audio sounded good, so we were able to to put out some of the tracks.
Yeah, congratulations, fantastic. And do you feel then South America, when you're touring, is different to other parts of the world? You talked about that energy. Can you tell you're in different continents when you're, you know, performing?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Tom tends to engage more with the crowd, I guess, because he's right up close and personal. But yeah, you always, you know, you see the flags and you see the signs people wave, and you start to recognise people as well, you know, that you may have seen the last time, or that go to a couple of shows.
Yeah. And for some reason, there seems to be lots and lots of young people or younger people at our shows in Latin America. And of course, they bring a different kind of energy to maybe the people that have been following you for 20 years or whatever, you know. They have this kind of just this passionate excitement, so it's great to see, you know, the generation who got into Hopes and Fears, but also this whole swathe of younger people who are, you know, getting to see us for the first time, and particularly I think in Latin America, it feels like that sort of, yeah, that contingent in the crowd is more passionate than anywhere else in the world. So that's definitely something we really kind of vibed off in the 2 times we've been.
That's great to hear. And Tom noted, you don't want to see me at your next concert as one of the old brigade following you.
We'll take all comers.
We'll take all comers. Well, I feel old now when I go to concerts, especially here, and you know that happens obviously. But I totally agree with you about that young energy here. And working here, I've been here for 4 months, but it has a really young population, Paraguay, and you know they have real aspirations, and music is so important to culture here. They have their own great sounds, but they're so embracing, and you have a distinctive sound as well. It's not, I mean, you know, it's not in my view anyway, it's not your traditional kind of rock band, and for me at least, that's something that comes across here. The Paraguayans have their own language. I don't know if you picked up on Guarani, or at least you heard it being spoken. Yeah. But that sets them apart from the region. And I think your sound, in a way, it's slightly different to the traditional one. And I think the both two together have really, really, counted for something in terms of what you've achieved here.
I think it's an interesting point as well, because we're not, you know, we're singing songs in English to a crowd who don't have English as their first language, and yet you get the song sung back to you with such passion, you know, word perfectly, and that's, you know, that's a pretty remarkable experience that I think sometimes we forget how special that is. Actually, it's easy to take it for granted that you're somewhere and people are singing back to you in English.
Yeah. And looking at the future, what are your plans? Obviously, it's been a difficult year for all bands. You know, fingers crossed we get through the pandemic. What's on the pipeline for music and touring?
Well, it's still a bit uncertain, really, is the truth of it. Every time you think there's going to be some kind of promise of certainty, something else comes along and hijacks it, you know. So at the moment we're a bit we're not sort of making any kind of particularly definite plans. There's obviously we'd hope that this summer coming up we'd be able to do a lot of the shows that we were unable to do last summer, but even that now looks unlikely. Maybe some of them will happen. I don't know. But yeah, in terms of, you know, future plans, I've been working on some things sort of on my own, solo stuff, and also we've got another little surprise, a Keane related surprise, that we're not going to give too much away about, but that's happening in the next couple of months, I think. So
yeah, let's just say we've always tried to support our local record shops.
Okay, that's an exciting teaser. That's an exciting teaser.
Yeah.
And generally, does being stuck at home, is it conducive to writing music? Not being in, having ever been close to the profession. I know some artists have come out with a whole load of material during the sort of their lockdowns. How's it been for you in terms of the creative side of your work?
Well, you've been working away, haven't you, Tom?
Yeah, I've been trying. I find it difficult. I don't particularly like writing on my own, so I found that quite difficult. I've taken sort of every opportunity I can to you know, find a window in between the lockdowns to go and work with some other people for the solo stuff. Yeah, we've done as far as Keane goes, we've done a few kind of we've cobbled together a few live things where we each tried to record a part at home and stuff, and that I mean, it's a challenge, to be honest. It's like, you think it's going to be easy to set up a camera and record your bit of audio, but it ends up taking you hours, you know. So it's not, yeah, I mean, the thing is that music really, it's a you know, particularly live music, it's so much about the relationship between the music.
Oh, you're frozen again.
Tom is frozen.
You can't really. Oh, sorry.
There, you're back.
Yeah, you can't really fake that. You can't really fake that thing of being a group of musicians together and of being in front of people, and the kind of the sort of unwritten or unspoken communication that goes on in that sort of format. So, you know, everyone's made the most of it and tried to do what they can sort of online over the last year or so, but it's no match for the real thing, let's be honest.
Yeah, I found like all areas of life of just, my brain has just been all over the shop, like days where you feel like, oh God, I really just want to do something, and days when you just want to keep the door shut and stay inside. And I guess the same goes for music. I mean, Tom did a really good like how to sing Summer in Iwino thing with a choir, didn't you? And Tim did some tutorials on like playing a few of the songs on the piano, which I thought were pretty amazing. So that was, you know, that was good. But yeah, it is hard to just, you know, to keep, because we are a band. I think we've always felt like, you know, when we get into a room, it's, you know, it's quite a sort of special experience for us. And so, yeah, being physically removed is quite hard. But then, like Tom says, hopefully some of the shows will come back, whether it's later this year or next year or whenever. I think, you know, we are committed to do some more shows, you know, but when those will be, you know, goodness knows.
Yeah, and looking for the future, not putting a time frame on it, but we obviously, I have to ask, we obviously hope you will come back to Paraguay. You know, if I didn't ask that question, I would get lynched in the street. People really want to see you back here. And so as much as you can, you know, we obviously really want to see you here again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've made it pretty clear how much we enjoy it, you know, and I think if we do tour, we will. In fact, one of the reasons, I'd forgotten about this until just thinking ahead to this today, when we got back together after our sort of hiatus, Tom had toured a little bit solo. And I remember you saying, Tom, that you really felt like it was so special because you came down to South America, didn't you? I don't think you made it to Paraguay that time, but you did make it to South America. And I remember Tom saying to us, you know, there's such an energy and a thirst for Keane that we had missed out on, that he had sort of felt, and that you know, he felt like we deserved to feel that again. And so, you know, that was one of the things that in a way sort of inspired us to make Cause and Effect and, you know, come out and hit the road again. So I think it's pretty safe to say if we do you know, make another record at some point and tour that again, that we'll be making a beeline for South America again. I mean, we came to South America before we did Europe and before we did the North America. So yeah, we put it pretty high up the priorities list these days.
Okay, well, your fans here will be very, very pleased to hear that. And it's a question that I get asked a lot about when you're coming back. So at least now I have some more up-to-date lines to take that it's certainly on your plans. And you won't find a difference in terms of the energy here. As I said, I found it even in my career, which is much less exciting, when I go and speak to people in various universities or schools. There is that young kind of movement here almost that has really connected with your music. And so having you back here will be fantastic, not only for you, but also for the UK and the work we do as a country internationally. So I'm really excited to have you back here. Just to finish off, because I'm conscious you've got your things to do, whether it be childcare or maybe there's that shaking of then I'm being respectful of a time frame that maybe isn't that important at your end. But listen, to come back to Paraguay, what do you see as the best, as a band when you're performing and you come off? What's the kind of chemistry? What's the best energy you feel when you come off stage? In that, I mean, is there a kind of moment when you realise and you look at each other and you all realise that's been incredible? Because for the fans, certainly 2019 and 2012 had that. Do you know as you're performing, or is it when you come off and you kind of reflect on it? And I'm really thinking about your concert here, if you've got any particular memories of those.
I think you generally, you get a feeling early on if a show is going to have that kind of energy. Generally, not always. Sometimes a show can just come good as it goes on, but most of the time, certainly as a frontman, I feel like you will know pretty fast whether it's going to be a good night. And then the key is, can you sustain it for a whole show? Because sometimes you get that kind of burst of energy, and then it can go a bit flat. So I think the thing that I really remember about Paraguay is it just started there, and it just super high level, and it just carried on for the whole show. And obviously, I mean, when you come off stage after that, you're in no doubt that you've had a great time, the audience had a great time, and that it'll be something you'll remember forever. So I mean, I've always said it. I've said it in so many interviews over the years about our shows in Paraguay, or certainly that first show. People kept asking me, "Where's your favourite show you've ever done?" It was always one that I would quote, because it had that energy, and it never kind of dipped. So yes, and the second one just as good, if not better. So yeah.
Well, as I said, you'll be pleased that that's reciprocated here. Whenever I ask, what are people's favourite bands that have visited, and I generally ask not thinking about British bands, but you invariably come out on top from all the bands that come here. So it's great to hear. And I guess in a way it has to be a two-way thing. It's not, you're not going to get the fans saying it was great and then the band. I guess it's a two-way relationship, isn't it, when you're on stage and the fans are connecting with you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's you feel it straight. I think Tom's right. You feel those two shows at the Jockey Club, you definitely just feel it straight away. Also, we come off stage if we do an encore, which we always do, that we could never get away without doing that there. You have that little moment where you sort of, you look at each other and it's like, well, this is going quite well, isn't it? We are having fun. You're having a good night. It's not, for us, a good night has always involved the crowd as much as it's involved us. So, we can play terribly. Have a great night.
As I said before, as soon as we hear of a date, there's going to be huge interest at this end, and it's something that I will be following very closely as well.
Well, that's good to hear. No, I mean, we just we are blown away by the reception we get when we come there, and I think everyone can see that on our faces as much as we can see it on theirs. So yeah, hopefully we will get back and do it all again sometime.
Brilliant, thanks, and hopefully I will be ambassador when you make it here, and I can show you a little bit more of the country, a little bit more of its food, its people, and some of the incredible nature that Paraguay has to offer, if you've got time. But anyway,
great to get out into the countryside. That's for sure. That sounds amazing. We'll have to book a few days off or something. Yeah,
you really need. The amount of greens and the trees that you'd never see before are quite incredible. So yeah, if I leave you with the incredible view I have now of the variety of greens and trees in front of me, is something you'll also hopefully get a chance to see when you next come out here. I'll make sure of it.
Sounds good.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Great. Well, Richard, Tom, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and all the best. Fingers crossed, things look up in the coming months.
Thanks, Ramin, and you stay safe. And obviously, hope things are doing okay over there. It's it's a global crisis, isn't it? So we're thinking of everyone over there as well.
Thanks, Richard. That's much appreciated. Take care, both.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.